Even if a long-term sick employee is no longer entitled to sick pay, they're still clocking up paid holiday entitlement, which will not, contrary to popular belief, be lost at the end of the holiday year. And so employers are normally keen to resolve long-term sickness one way or the other. But when is it safe to dismiss a long-term sick employee? In the case of O'Brien versus Bolton St Catherine's Academy, the Court of Appeal felt that the employer rushed its final decision. This case teaches us some important lessons about what to do before dismissing a long-term absentee. Having been assaulted by a student, Miss O'Brien, a senior teacher, took long-term sick leave, over a year in fact, at the point the employer decided to dismiss. The employer requested a medical report from her GP, and her GP was unhelpful. But during the appeal against her dismissal, she produced a psychologist's report saying that, following a course of treatment, she should make a full recovery. Rather than make its own investigations around the report, the Academy regarded it as unclear, contradictory and unhelpful, and pressed ahead with the dismissal anyway. Having been through the tribunal system, the Court of Appeal found that under the circumstances, the employer should have waited a little longer. The case has produced some useful guidance for any employer contemplating the dismissal of a long-term absent employee. Firstly, the dismissal must show that the continuing absence is having an impact on the organisation and what that impact actually is. This can be written into the dismissal letter to show clearly that the employer had thought about this aspect before making the decision to dismiss. Secondly, up-to-date medical information must be obtained, and if normal channels, the GP or the specialist, don't work, the employer must go further, perhaps instructing an occupational doctor to produce a report for them. This applies even if the employee presents evidence at the last minute, and, as it seemed to the employer in this particular case, if evidence presented appears to be of poor quality. Thirdly, the employer must be able to show why now is the right time to dismiss, and if more or other evidence appears to be necessary, medical evidence in the case of O'Brien, they must allow sufficient additional time for that process to complete. Employers should not allow long-term absences to drag on forever. They must be dealt with, but as ever, you would be wise to seek advice from your MyHR department HR advisor before taking the decision to dismiss. We will carry out a risk assessment, we'll write all the letters and so on, and if necessary, we'll help you find a suitable occupational health service to carry out an assessment. Better a few £100s invested in this process than thousands from a lost tribunal case.